let's talk about the craft of writing first. I think from a perspective of anyone listening to this, I think most of the people always in their lifetime once think about writing a book. Everyone thinks that they can write, and then I think people who start, I think 9 out of 10 would kind of stop in between, and they would not continue. They will think that it's not meant for them. So how did this writing came about, right? And how did you had the discipline to basically write the entire book down, and now you've written, I think, four of them, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, I always liked writing. So I remember when I was posted, in my initial days, I was posted in a place called Panagarh. I used to write very long letters. At that time, there was no phone. I mean, very less of, I mean, the mobile phone wasn't there at all. All we had was that STD subscriber trunk dialing. That was it. And that we had to, wait to call after 9 o'clock. So it would be a little, economical. So I remember writing long letters to my friends and my family, and everyone used to keep, telling me that, okay, describe a few things more. How about this? How about that? So I realized that I enjoyed the process of writing, and I used to write journals. And so when I was released from the army, I thought people used to randomly ask me, "Hey, you were in the army. How was it? Was it very tough?" Just like some of the questions that you asked me right now, and I thought that, oh, people are so keen to know. So why not use my whatever little I know? Let me try writing. But then I realized that it's not easy because I've not had any formal training at all. I mean, I've not done journalism, nor do I have so much of understanding of the language that I'm writing in, which means I had to really learn a lot. So initially I started blogging, and when that was accepted and people liked it, then I started sending out articles to magazines like Femina and so many others. Like when I travel somewhere, I would write those travel stories and I would send it to magazines, and then they would be published. So initially I started with very short pieces like 1,000 words and 1,200 words. That was it. And then I thought, okay, now let me try writing a short story. Now, a short story is not like an article, which means that you need to put in dialogues, you need to set up the atmosphere. And then that time, to me, it felt very challenging. The moment I started writing a short story, I thought, oh my God, this is not getting anywhere. Nothing is happening. After writing, I would read through and say, oh, nothing. It's just not good. And then again, I would go back on the internet and learn what are the things, what are the elements of a story, how do you write it. So there's a lot of learning that has gone into that, and only then did I actually submit my story idea at the Kala Ghoda Arts Festival in Mumbai. They had this open book pitch contest, so anyone could pitch a book idea, and I pitched my book idea, and that got picked up. And then I wrote my novel. Obviously editors did a brilliant job of editing it, and then She's a Jolly Good Fellow was published like that. And once one book was published, then I knew, okay, I just enjoyed the process. Although it is quite I mean, it's not so easy because we have something in our mind as a writer. Now as a reader, if I'm not able to convey through my words that emotion to you, when you're the reader, then I failed as a writer. So but when I wrote She's a Jolly Good Fellow, which was based on some of my own experience in the army, I got a lot of good feedback, and people said they enjoyed reading it. Some of them said they found it very humorous, and so all these words of encouragement really helped. And I thought, okay, now let me start writing more. And then I thought of other ideas that I could write about, and that's how now I've written about a matrilineal society. So that's how it is a very gradual progression. And even then I would always reiterate that it is a craft, and you have to be constantly working at it. I don't think anyone can say that, okay, now I'm good enough, now I can sit back and relax, now I've become a very good writer. I don't think so. I'm still learning. Every day I'm learning. I'm trying to get better at the craft.
So there is one thing about actually writing it down, but then I probably have a question like a step before that. Like, what's the process of writing such a book, like such a long story? When I say such a long story, when I'm comparing it from an article or from a blog, right? It's a big enough responsibility or for someone to start and then finish the book as well, right? So like, did you had a process wherein you probably would sit in for 3 hours every day, or like for 4 hours every day and write? Or was it like that when something came to you, then only you will put it down? How was the process like, and how should the process be like for someone who's probably willing to write a book?
Yeah, so well, I would not be able to say how should the process be, because that process depends, from person to person. All I can tell you is what works for me. So for me, what I do is, if when I have a story, when I know that this is a story I want to say, I just make a very short synopsis, just about 2 or 3 pages. So in which I'd say, okay, there was this character, and then they met this character, or what is the plot of the story, what is the atmosphere would be, and that's it. And what happens in the story, essentially. I just, that's it. So that I have it in 2 pages, and this is usually for me, I write it in longhand. So now I have the synopsis. So when I conducted, I conduct writing workshops, and I realized that most people, what happens is they start writing, because now a novel takes time to write. So they start writing, and somewhere midway, they just, lose track. They didn't know, they sometimes they just don't understand where was I heading to. They just feel lost, and that's when you don't complete your book. So I've come across a lot of people who have said that, oh, I started but I couldn't finish it. So for them, I would say that, this is what works for me. So I make it's like a blueprint. So I have my story there, and now the job is of expanding it. So I put in dialogue, I have more characters, secondary characters come in, then there are subplots, these things happen. But and as I'm going, let's say I reach midway through the book, and then suddenly I suppose I'm lost. Oh, where was it going? What was this character supposed to do now? Again, then I refer back to my synopsis. What was the whole, my whole story going to be? So I do this back and forth quite a lot. And during the process of writing, it even changes. So sometimes I start off with a synopsis, saying, okay, this is what the story is going to be. But sometimes the middle I say, no, this character is looking interesting. Now let me add some more, give this character a 3-dimensional personality, and make him or her a little more alive on the pages. So that is a creative process. So I have follow a little bit of structure, and then the creative process takes on. Anytime I'm feeling lost, I have this to refer back to my synopsis. I see, okay, now I get back to the other one. This is, for me, this is how it works. As I said, it may not be everyone's way of working, but this one works for me.
And would you like sit for particular hours every day to write, or is it like when you want to basically write something, you would just write then?
Yeah, actually, it is good if writers have the discipline to sit down and write, say, how many hours in a day. For me, but I think I'm not as disciplined as, so many other writers who do that. For me, what happens is, between books, I'm in a stage wherein, nothing is really happening. And I give myself that time. I don't, stress myself out saying that, okay, 3 hours I have to write what? So for me, that question comes up. And then some idea emerges. And then I'm so gripped by that idea, then it doesn't matter. I can work as so many hours in a day, and just to get that going, to get that, get to the finish line. So for me, that's how it works. So when I'm working on a book, I'm fully into it. And then I may or may not take a little time off, or, write something else until another good idea grips me. And then I totally get into it. And then it doesn't matter to me how many hours or anything. But some days are free. Some days I may just be reading. That's how it works for me. As I said, it works differently for different people.
होप यू लाइक द क्लिप. अगर क्लिप अच्छी लगी हो तो पूरे पॉडकास्ट को भी ज़रूर देखें. अगर अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो चैनल को भी बिल्कुल सब्सक्राइब कर लें, ताकि आने वाले टाइम में जब भी ऐसी क्लिप्स और ऐसे पॉडकास्ट आएँ तो आप उनको ज़रूर देख पाएँ. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग.